Hello guys, and welcome back to Beartooth Hill Bike Park in Planet Coaster. In this video we will add a lot of mountain bike trails, and we begin by building a black run, and we've only built one mountain bike run previously. We were getting into it, putting some essential things that you need to put before the trails come. So for example, there was of course the visitor centre and the lift to the top, because people can't do these trails if they've got no way of reaching the top. So yeah, we have been busy doing that, but we will continue to add to the mountain bike side of things here. And this is actually going to be a black trail, which is the hardest possible difficulty that is graded. I guess you can probably get some harder ones which aren't graded. An example of this is when I went skiing this year. I went in February, so thankfully coronavirus didn't get in the way then, but there was some black runs, and then there was one which wasn't graded because it was too hard to be a block, and obviously I went on that. But yeah, you can see some features coming in now, and these are just some poles to offer support for what will be coming next, and these are called North Shore boards. I'm not an expert on this, but apparently they were invented from a mountain bike area in the North Shore Mountains near Vancouver. So that's where the name comes from, and they had to do this because of the location of it. Means that it gets very frozen in the winter, and then in the summer that's then going to melt, so the ground is very soft and it's not very suitable for mountain biking, which forces them to have trails above the ground. So they build them up on little stilts, and they use these boards to have features. And I will build some berms, and I do have a little drop with them, so yeah, I use them to add a bit of diversity to the overall lineup of different trails that we have at this park. We've only built a red run so far, and to be honest that could easily be a black after looking back on it. Some of the turns and drops are actually very steep. I may have to make that one a black as well because of just how steep it is. It doesn't really give you much chance to slow down at all. But I think this one should definitely be a black because of the amount of drops and interesting features there are. You can see here I'm actually joining the berm up to that other track that comes down the hill, so that you can be on the top road and then you want to hop back down on to this berm so that you don't have to go off it and do a big drop after. Yeah, that's what's going on at the moment. So whilst that's going on in the background, I'll talk about what we do in this video as a whole. We don't really get anything finished. I've still got to put trees and stuff around this actual ride, well not a ride, around this run, and I didn't do that on camera because it's just repetitive and you don't really need to see it. But yeah, I don't really, like I said, I don't get anything properly completed, but I think we do make good progress even though everything looks unfinished afterwards, because it's just I can just easily go over the top and it'll be done off camera, so that for the next episode we can hopefully be ready to work on the next area. I may do a couple of finishing touches for the start of the next episode, and then we will go on to something big, and I don't really want to give it away now, but it's probably the biggest thing that will be in this park, so I hope you're all excited for that, and I am as well. But yeah, just putting in the supports here to support these boards, because obviously they would collapse if it wasn't supported. But yeah, I do like the angle. It looks quite aesthetically pleasing, the way that the supports on the berms are slightly offset. It reminds me a bit of the custom supporting that you would do on a wooden coaster, and that may be coming up soon in this series. There's two very big teasers, two very big hints on what we're going to be doing next. But yes, now on to some more terrain work. At this point I was just pretty much finishing the actual shape of the trail. I painted the ground a bit so it's clear to see where the bikes actually would go, and I made a little dip in the ground here, but I did have to raise it up originally so that the drop off from those boards was a bit more smooth, so that the angle is almost the same, so you know it won't hurt people at all to land on it. Just here you can see, well, we've gone past it now, but there was a little section where it's quite steep and actually quite rocky. There's a lot of rocky terrain there, and that is inspired from some mountain bike sections that you do get. They're fairly wide usually, but they do have lots of rocks which you have to go over, so usually you'll be braking whilst going down them. You can't really go down them quickly, but yeah, it's just a feature that I've seen a lot on mountain bike trails, so I just wanted to use that. But yeah, lots of rocks going in here. You can see I use that technique that I always do. I sink them into the ground so that they look different, and you can also get some more unique shapes from them, which looks quite cool in my opinion. And yeah, obviously rotating them a lot, because when you zoom out and you see all the rocks the same angle, same size, it doesn't look very good. It looks that you've copied it over, which is what you've done, and it just doesn't look as good. But this is the bit I was just talking about then, how the rocky downhill section which you'll bounce down over on your bike, usually, yeah, of course you'll have to brake to go down it. You'd have to be very good if you wanted to go straight down that. You'd have to slow down to control it more. And we're almost done with that now really. It's just a little bit of painting, but you can see that it is coming together really nicely. One thing that is different with this trail from other ones is that it does have different options. There's different routes, so you can either go to the left and then they join back together and split apart again, and that will add some variety to it so that it doesn't feel the same every time, so you can go back up and do it again. And because there was a bit of a blind summit on this berm, if you were going to go straight onto the board that goes straight down instead of turn around, I decided to put these signs in so that you can see where the actual thing is, because you might miss it slightly and then end up missing it and then hit a rock or something. And there's some warning signs again, just so people are aware that there will be a drop soon. So yeah, they just prepare for that. And like I said, the Coda Brennan in Wales, the bike park I went to, that had little warning signs for some small drops, whatever it was going to be. But we're now putting some more terrain work in for this green run, and this is quite long. It's not very steep. It's a nice family trail that is suitable for all ages, and it also goes through the middle of this area which the Alpine Coaster is part of, and that's where these nets come in handy to keep the cyclists who are going through it. I did actually have that planned out, because you can see that some sections do not have the netting on, and that's because I knew that the bike trail wouldn't go underneath that section. So yeah, again, lots more rocks, but soon, yeah, now you can see me flattening off the ground so that I can prepare to put these fences in, because they've got to be upright, they've got to be perpendicular to the ground. So, you know, I wanted it to be, it's quite hard to build fences on a slant, because it's a hill, so it was difficult to do this, but I had to flatten the ground to make that possible. And again, yeah, you see there, the terrain was very frustrating to do this. And eventually you will see that we remove a lot of the fences, and I did that because it was quite difficult to have them all joined together when the land started to get a lot steeper. So you can see how they're already stepping off like this, and it's getting quite difficult, but we do continue this more. And then what it was that changed my mind, because I realised how tall this bank was anyway, and what is the definition of a fence. It's something that people can't climb over. So, well, I mean, if you want to, you probably could climb over it, but I decided just to have the bank there, and there will be some trees on that, and it'll look a lot better in the end. Yeah, you will see here that the fences are gone on that little bit towards the bottom, and yeah, I'll put some trees on there off camera, and it'll look quite good, and that's a clear barrier between the cyclists and the people who are riding the Alpine Coaster. But now a toilet block is going in, and we've only got one toilet block right at the bottom, so it's quite important to have one at this point because there's some different attractions all meeting together at this point, the Alpine Coaster, and there will be two bike trails meeting at the end of, well, they'll finish next to the toilet block, and then the black run is on the other side of the Alpine Coaster. So I thought this would be a fairly good location to have it. It's slightly out the way, and because the fact that there's trees behind it means that people won't have to look at the back of it, and I thought it would look quite tidy nestled into the side of this. So yeah, I'm just trying to make it like a typical chalet. You can see that I did change the roof slightly so that it hangs over, and yeah, that's just the style of architecture that I was going for. You can see some beams coming and crossing over to support the roofs, and then I'm using these came in the spooky pack. I think they're foundations for Haunted House. I'm not sure the exact name. And there's some kind of base for it, and they've got some really nice textures, and I don't know why I've not used them before. This is the first time I've actually used them in the game. I've seen them used by other people, but I thought they were a Theme Maker's Toolkit item, but it turns out they're not. But that will wrap up episode 5 of this Planet Coaster series, and I hope you've all enjoyed watching. If you have, just leave a like on the video, and yeah, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.